In this video, we will see introduction about clustering and what are the various clustering algorithms we have. So clustering is also called as cluster analysis. It is an important unsupervised machine learning algorithm. That means that whenever a training data set is given to you, you will not have any label to guide the process of training. In case of supervised learning, we will have the labels, but here the data set is unlabeled data set. And clustering is a classification of objects into different groups. And you're going to partition the data set into subsets, which are also called as clusters. And in this, the data in each subset is going to share some common trait. And this is done according to some predefined distance metrics. We have so many distance metrics. So we are going to group the data into different clusters based upon some distance. And these clustering algorithms will interpret the input data and they will try to find which are all the natural groups existing in the data. And they are based on the concept of similarity and then dissimilarity between the data points. To calculate how similar points are related to each other, we are going to use the distance metrics only. And a given data point, if you consider the clustering, whatever is the data point given to you, it is more similar to the data points in the same group after the clustering is over. And then it is dissimilar to the data points in the other groups. So we will say that in case of clustering algorithms, we have inter-cluster similarity is high. Inter-cluster similarity means similarity within the cluster. That is very high. Because of that only, they are in the same cluster. And then inter-cluster similarity is low. That means if you consider two different objects in the same cluster, they will have high similarity. Whereas if you consider two different objects in different clusters, they will have low similarity. This is the basic for any clustering algorithm. And why we go for generally clustering algorithms? In real world, we are working with large data set. And whenever you want to analyze the data set, first, instead of starting the analysis directly on the entire data set, you can first analyze the data set and you can divide that into logical groupings called cluster. So once you group it, after that you perform the analysis. That will simplify your work. Okay. For example, if I have a class of 1,000 students, instead of starting the analysis on the 1,000 students, I can first group the students based upon their learning capability, interest, and so on. Like some of the students may be interested in programming and some may be interested in hardware related things. So I can group the students, then whatever is the training I want to give to them, I can focus related to the specific need of the students. So to do that, we can go for clustering. And this clustering is helping us to glance through the data so that you can pull out some pattern or structure which are existing in the data. After that only, you can go for analyzing the data for specific finding. Okay, so this is the reason why generally we go for clustering. And now let us see what are the various clustering methods we have, how we can classify them. So we have basically different clustering methods which are listed below: partitioning method, hierarchical method, density-based method, grid-based method, model-based, and then constraint-based. Out of these things, the most widely used clustering algorithm is the partitioning method. So now let us see what is the difference between these things. So let us first consider the partitioning method. So this partitioning method is going to divide the data objects into number of partitions, and every partition is going to form one cluster. For example, if I give you a data set of n objects, and if I tell you that you have to partition that into k clusters, then you have to divide the entire n objects into k different clusters. And in this, very important thing is this k should be less than or equal to n. And every partition will represent one cluster after you finish it. For example, here I am giving you certain data points which are represented in green color, and I'm asking you to divide that into two clusters based upon certain similarity. So here, since k is given as 2, you have to divide into two clusters which are given by red color, that is cluster 1, and then blue color, which is cluster 2. So the famous algorithms under this partitioning methods are k-means clustering, then Clara, which stands for clustering large applications, then Clarence, which is for clustering large applications based on randomized search. The second form of clustering algorithm is called as hierarchical based methods. So in the case of hierarchical based method, it is going to create a hierarchical decomposition of the given data set of objects. So here we are going to form the clusters, and those clusters will be forming a tree type structure based upon some hierarchy. And once you have a tree type structure, you are going to form new clusters using the previously formed clusters. When we proceed through the example, you will understand. And these hierarchical clustering can be used as an alternative for the partition clustering. Previously, I told you about partitioning clustering. In that, the main drawback is you should know what is the value of K. Before you start the algorithm, you have to give K as the input. Suppose if you are not sure about the value of K, in that case, you can use this hierarchical clustering. So hierarchical clustering is used as an alternative to partition clustering because in case of partition clustering, we have to specify the number of clusters to be created. But here it is not necessary to specify that. And based upon how the hierarchical decomposition is done, you have two different approaches in this. One is called as bottom-up approach. There we have an algorithm named as agglomerative approach. And the second one is a divisive. Here it is going to employ top-down approach. So in case of hierarchical based methods, we have the examples as Pure and then Birch. Let's compare these two methods. If it is agglomerative approach, it is a bottom-up approach, and whereas divisive is top-down approach. And the second comparison is here in the first case, you are going to start with each object forming a separate group. If I give you, there are 5 data objects in your cluster. First, you will assume that all the 5 objects are separate clusters. And after that, you will be grouping the 2 clusters together until you reach one final cluster. That is the first approach, bottom-up approach. Whereas in case of divisive approach, you will start with all the objects in the same cluster. That is, all the 5 objects will be treated as one cluster. Then you will try to divide that into 2 clusters. And again, that will be divided and so on till you find every cluster with one member. Okay, so these are the 2 different approaches. Let us see the diagram so that you will understand. So let us consider that I am giving you 5 data points, P, Q, R, S, T. If it is agglomerative approach, you are going to start from the bottom and you will move towards the top. It is bottom-up approach. That means that initially you will consider all the 5 data points as separate clusters. So I have 5 clusters now. Then what I will do, I'll combine 2 points and form one cluster. That is nothing but I am going to combine 2 clusters to form a third new cluster. Okay, so initially I have 5 clusters. Suppose if I assume that I am going to join these 2 points, P and Q, I am going to form a new cluster PQ. So now the total number of clusters is reduced to 4 because these 2 are combined together. So now what are the 4 clusters? PQ is 1 cluster, R, S, T. They are in 3 different clusters. So I have totally 4 clusters now. In the next step, I am going to again combine 2 clusters, form a new cluster. Suppose if I am combining S and T, I am going to form the cluster as ST. At this point of time, you have 3 different clusters now. One is PQ, second cluster is R, third cluster is ST. Then next step, you will combine 2 clusters to form the third cluster. If I assume that I am going to combine R and ST together, now my cluster is RST. Now how many clusters I have? One is PQ, another is RST. I have 2 clusters. Then in the next step, I'm going to combine these 2 clusters. So I'll be forming one cluster with PQRST. This is the final cluster. And your procedure is now stopped because you have a single cluster which contains all the members. So in this approach, you have started from the bottom, you have proceeded towards the top, okay? And then you have done your steps until you reached all the members in one cluster. This is the first approach. If you consider the second approach, that is called as divisive method, it is opposite to that of bottom-up approach. Here it is a top-down approach. You are going to consider that all the data sets belong to one cluster and you will try to divide that. So first I have 5 members. I'll assume that all the 5 members are in the same cluster. I'll try to divide this now. I will divide into 2 clusters. So I'm now dividing into PQ as the first cluster and RST as the second cluster. Then in the next iteration, what I will do is I have 2 clusters now. I'm going to form 3 clusters. Out of the 2 clusters, I'll form 3 clusters. So any one of the cluster I have to consider, I have to divide that into 2. So in this case, RST is considered, that is divided into 2. One is R, another is ST. At this point of time, you have 3 clusters now. PQ is 1, R is second, ST is the third one. So now you have 3 clusters, then choose any one cluster, divide that into 2. It can be either ST. If you do this, you will have PQ as 1 cluster, R as second, S as third, T as the next one. Or otherwise, even PQ will be divided. That depends upon the algorithm. What is the distance matrix you are using in your algorithm? Based upon that, the clusters will be formed. So this step will be repeated until you get every cluster with 1 member. Okay, so this is the divisive approach. Now let us focus on the next method, which is called as density-based method. So you take any area, how many different points you have in that particular area with respect to the area. That is called as density. So here, this density-based method is based upon the notation of density. Here, the basic idea is you are going to consider every point within the cluster. For that, the radius of the given cluster has to contain at least a minimum number of points. Why we mean the radius? Because density is related to the area. So to define the area, I'm going to form some circles. So the radius is going to determine what is the area of the circle. Then I will say that if the radius is this much, I should have minimum this many number of points in the cluster. So based upon that density only, these algorithms are going to work. And with the help of density-based algorithm, you can discover clusters of any arbitrary shape. It's not that it is only circles. The clusters can be of any shape. And the famous algorithm under this density-based method is DB-scan and then optics. And the other clustering are model-based clustering. In case of model-based clustering, you are going to define first one model. That model is nothing but based upon the hypothesis. So every cluster is hypothesized so that it can find the data which is best suited for the model. So whatever is the hypothesis, whichever data is best suiting to that hypothesis, that will be considered as part of the cluster. So here everything is done with respect to the hypothesis or model what you have developed. And the next is called as constraint-based clustering method. In case of constraint-based clustering method, we as a user, we are going to specify the constraint. That is nothing but what is the expectation of us with respect to that particular clustering. And based upon the constraint the user has specified, the algorithm is going to perform the clustering. So it is mainly user-centric approach. We will specify the constraint also. And the last one is grid-based clustering. In case of grid-based clustering, we are going to divide the area into certain number of cells called as grid structure. Once you form the cell, once you finish the grid structure, all the clustering operation you are going to perform with respect to the grid structure only. So if I specify that my grid is 5 cross 5 grid, then whatever is the cells I have in that, I have 25 cells in that, I'm going to perform clustering within that 25 cells. So this is the grid-based clustering algorithm. So now we have seen what are the various clustering algorithms we have. And now let us focus on why we need the clustering and in which area the clustering algorithms are most widely used. So if you consider marketing, generally, whenever you go for any supermarketing, they want to do some targeted marketing. What is targeted marketing is, I am going to develop one product and that product I am not going to market for all the customers. If I know that only few customers are going to buy that product, instead of marketing to all the customers, I will market the product only to the specific customers who will buy the product. That is called as targeted marketing. So in that case, first of all, you have to identify which are all the customers going to buy your product. So to identify that, we are going to use the clustering. So it is going to help to discover the distinct groups in the customer bases. And after that, you can use this knowledge to develop targeted marketing programs. And the second is, it is used in biology. So it can be used for the classification among different species of plants and animals. So whenever you have a different species given to you, to categorize that, you can use the clustering algorithm. And also you can use this in libraries also, because in libraries we have different books which belongs to different topics. So whenever you want to group the books under different topics, you can go for the clustering algorithms. And clustering is also used in city planning. So city planning is nothing but you can group the houses and you can study their value. Like if you want to predict the price of the house, you can group the houses and study the price of the houses based upon the geographical locations and other factors present. For example, if I have a house in Bangalore, definitely it is going to value more when compared to a house in the village, because there the price per square feet is very high. Why it is high? Because we have a lot of IT companies in Bangalore and then many educational institutions, hospitals, everything is there. So you're going to group the houses based upon the geographical location and you can assign value to the houses applying this clustering algorithm. Then other applications of clustering are, you can use this for inland use. Inland use is nothing but the clustering algorithm can be used to identify the area of the similar land user in the GIS database. So graphical information system database. If you do this, you can identify, if I have a land, you can tell whether this land can be used for farming purpose or it can be used for building the houses and so on. Okay, so here you are going to identify purpose of the land applying the clustering algorithm. It depends upon the type of the soil also. Okay, if you find that in a particular place you cannot grow any crop, there is no need to use that place for farming. Definitely you will not get any outcome. So in that case, you can use this algorithm to predict the purpose of the land. And also the clustering algorithms are used by Amazon to provide recommendations to the customers. Whenever we buy any product, it will relate other products according to your previously purchased product, and then it will recommend to you. And then Netflix also uses the clustering algorithms to recommend the movies and then web series to the users based upon the previous watch history of the users. And also in many search engines, whenever I type something related to a particular topic, for example, I'm typing the information as clustering in data mining. When I give that information, clustering in data mining, I am getting the documents in Google which are related to my topic. Google is not showing any irrelevant data. It is showing only the relevant documents. So always, whenever we want to group the relevant documents in web-based information, you can use the clustering algorithms. And also another application of clustering is whenever you want to detect any outliers in your data set. So we have already seen the pre-processing. There the outlier is nothing but it is a data point which is either having a very large value or low value when compared to other points in the data set. So whenever you want to detect the outliers, one of the algorithm you can use for that is the clustering algorithm. Because the outlier will not be part of the any cluster. So you can say that this particular thing is an outlier. If it is similar to other data points, it will definitely a part of some cluster where you have other data points also. So you can use this clustering algorithms to detect the outliers. This is mainly useful in applications like detection of fraudulent transactions and credit card fraud and so on. Mainly in banking sectors, this outlier detection is useful.